You're looking sharp, pal.
Hey, man. This is all thanks to our good friend and supporter, Dale Williams.
Thanks, Dale.
Yeah, shot in this week for some recurrent training on the 1900, and he left a bit of a present for us.
Yeah.
Opened up the bag and saw these awesome Ferrari shirts, and couldn't help but have to wear it on the show today because these are just so legit.
Absolute no-brainer.
Oh.
Thanks, Dale, so much, man. You've been an absolute legendary supporter of the podcast for a very, very long time. I don't even want to add up Dale's Patreon pledges that he's given us, but ultimately, yeah, one of the real top supporters. And now this is not from Chinatown, bro. This is from Italy.
From Italy. It's pretty legit and really special. I mean, obviously Dale knows that we are big fans of Formula One, and myself in particular, I'm a Ferrari fan all the way. Dale, thanks so much, man. Really, it's kind of special when.
Well, I was a Red Bull fan, but maybe
you have to be a Ferrari fan.
We have to switch allegiance. Yeah,
awesome.
Cool. No, good to see you too, pal. I've been a couple of days leave this week with my old lady down from Cape Town, up from Cape Town. Be nice to relax and get away from the normal grind of the office, but I know you've been handling things on this side, so thanks for that. But good to catch up now nonetheless.
Hey, 100%, man. Yeah, no, good to have you back in studio here, and looking forward to today's conversation. We've got a good lineup, and man, it's awesome that you've been able to spend some quality time with your mom.
Needed it
easier, but
needed it. Yeah, you know what it's like. But let's get to it. Something I want to discuss: the interview process and the movement around the aviation industry at the moment has been, unprecedented. Haven't seen this amount of movement for a hell of a long time. So with that, obviously, comes the whole interview process. It comes your sim check ride, meeting with HR, talking to your family, seeing, if they actually want to make the move as well, road shows, all that type of stuff. But one of the things we see a lot of at the Sim Center, of course, is guys getting ready for the simulator check ride. I want to chat a bit about that today with you.
Yeah.
And maybe bounce a few things, let's see what they're looking for. Now, obviously, you and I are not involved directly in the actual employment side, but, we can offer a few tips and tricks on how to maximize your sim check ride. And it's not always the straightforward thing that you would think about. It goes a bit deeper than that, at least I'd like to think. So I've spoken to a few people that are doing these check rides, and also we've been lucky enough at the Sim Center to host a few companies that use our devices for these sim check rides. And every now and again you get to chat to these instructors or examiners and say, hey, what are you actually looking for in this process? So let's get to it. Main topic here, maximizing success, tips and strategies for acing your airline sim check ride. It's a bit of a daunting experience, right? I mean, you've got through the initial process of the interview. You've answered the technical question. You've explained to HR why, moving to this airline is a good move, and you're not just doing it for the money, but also because you're looking for long-term career growth and all that stuff. And now they say, cool, you through that section, come back here on a week's time, and the instructors will put you through the paces in the simulator to see if you can actually handle this aircraft that you're going to go and fly.
Yeah.
And it's a process.
It is a process. I think a lot of the guys that you've seen come through, the first thing that you pick up is obviously the nerves.
Yep.
It is a daunting process to go through. There's a lot going through your mind, and I think for a lot of guys, they've got a lot riding on this. They need to pass it because obviously whatever position they were in, they either don't have a job or obviously leaving another job to jump into a particular airline. And you can see the guys are quite rattled. So one of the first things that I noted that I suppose is worth a mention and some sage advice for the guys is do your best to just calm the nerves.
Yeah.
The sooner you can clear your mind, take a few deep breaths, just relax and maximize if you are coming for a sim prep session to absorb as much as you possibly can, but relax.
Yeah.
And the same goes for when you go for the actual check ride. Trying to remain calm, cool, collected. I think that goes a long way in showing the people that are looking at you that, you know, first of all, you're confident, you're capable, and you have what it takes to deal with things under pressure.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. I've been telling the guys that are coming in and, you know, what the airline is actually looking for. I think that the airline is looking for two main things. Is this pilot going to fit into our existing culture? And two, is this pilot trainable?
That's it.
I think that's it. They're not looking for the world's sharpest pilot. They're not looking for these over-the-top handling skills. They're looking for those two things more than anything else. And then, of course, there's things like body language that you can work on. You see a lot of people, you know, using their hands, scratching, you know, that's showing a bit of nerves. So be aware of that stuff. Calm that stuff down.
Yeah.
But as I said, Ryan, you know, we've had people coming here on the 145, you know, doing a few practice sessions and sitting in there. And it's so cool to see the excitement with these, with everyone. They, like you said, it's a huge opportunity. They know it's a big opportunity and they don't want to stuff it up.
Yeah.
So they're coming and doing the prep and they're trying to get the most out of it, particularly from a handling perspective. So obviously we concentrate more on the handling side because they've got the opportunity now in the level D to actually see what this aircraft feels like. So when they go and do the actual check, they've got a bit of experience on the type already. But for that actual check, you know, be aware of a few things. They are looking for professionalism. They look, you know, and it starts right at the beginning. You know, walking into the simulator, you don't just go sit down in the seat. You wait. Let the instructor or the examiner say, right, you can go sit down now. Leave your bloody jacket on if it's, you know, don't take it off. You know, just, you haven't got the job. So go and sit down. Get yourself comfortable in that seat. Don't go grab the glare shield when you get into the simulator. You know, there's the proper handles in there to actually get yourself in that seat in the first place. And you can tell a lot by how someone actually gets into that flying seat, how they put their belt on and then move into the correct position, get themselves set up. So all those things come, you know, that's just as important as the actual flying side.
Well, that falls under etiquette. I know that the airlines, you know, regard etiquette, particularly in the flight deck, very highly.
Yeah.
I mean, etiquette goes from, you know, how you present yourself, how you conduct yourself in the cockpit. Like you're saying, the mannerisms, you know, just that proper conduct, good manners, essentially, it goes a long way.
Yeah, they're basically saying, can you fly with this guy on a long day?
Yeah.
And will there be some enjoyment to it? So it's a big thing. It's a big thing in a young pilot's career, that first sim check ride. But let's emphasize a couple of things. It's not always going to go your way. Maybe you just rub the instructor up the wrong way. Maybe it's a clash of personalities there. Maybe you are just having an off day. It can happen to any pilot, doesn't matter how good you are. So if you don't get through your sim check ride, it is certainly not the end of your career. Yeah. One has to look at it as an experience one way or another. You're going in there to enhance your experience, and if you're good enough, you'll get the position. And if you're not good enough this time, hopefully you'll be good enough next time. So you can't, it's not do or die. You've got to go in there with an open mind to say, well, I'm going to give it my best shot. I'm going to, you know, make the most of it. I'm going to use the experience. And if it doesn't go my way this time, the experience that I've gained will now help me the next shot I get. So it's a important time in any pilot's career, young or, you know, a bit older like us. You know, and I suppose even with us, Ryan, you know, if you had to go for a sim check ride tomorrow at an airline somewhere else in the world, you know, there'd be a huge amount of pressure because, you know, age-wise and that, you don't have, you know, multiple opportunities down the line. There's an opportunity there and you want to take it, so you want to give it your best shot. If you're a bit younger, of course, you can be a bit more relaxed about it. But all you can do is prepare as best you can and go and show them that you are trainable and you are willing to adapt to the company culture, which is just as important as anything else. The company wants to know that you're going to be a company man and you're going to fit in to that culture that they have created.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to touch on something that you mentioned there, if anything, it's probably a hell of a lot more pressure on older and experienced guys, because the expectation is that when you get into a simulator, you've obviously got to show that you've, done this before, and that you, can actually handle the airplane, versus someone who's brand new. Like what we're seeing at the moment is guys coming through from bush pilot caravans, even flight schools, instructors with no turbine experience. So obviously when you're doing an assessment like that, or the guys from the airlines conducting assessments are going to they're going to gauge you on your experience.
Yeah.
So I think that counts for a lot. And just getting back to being older and having experience, the pressure's on, because you can't let your skills slide.
Yes.
So, but the only way you get around that is, like you say, proper preparation, present yourself well, stay calm, and just do the best you can.
Your point there on preparation. Do you find, I certainly do, the preparation doesn't necessarily help you for the task that you're going to go do in itself, but it helps you in the confidence going to do whatever it is you're doing. So if you know that you're fully prepared, there's an air of confidence, and you can relax, and you can be calm in your mind that, hey, I've given this my best shot. I haven't sat at home watching Netflix when I should have been studying. Oh. So that counts for a lot towards your confidence side.
I think there's a lot of things in life and in your aviation career that sometimes you can just wing it.
Yes.
We've done it from time to time on the
podcast. Yeah.
But for this kind of thing, for an airline interview or sim check ride, it's not something that you can just go into having not prepared and get yourself up for it. And then very few guys would be able to pull that off with zero prep.
Yeah, I think so. The other thing that I think you can look at, doesn't matter what type you're going on, each type will be different, of course, but get some useful numbers there. What's the thrust setting you need for a 210 knots maintaining straight and level at 150? What do you need for 250 knots? What do you need for 300 knots? It's just some basic things that you can fall on when things are getting a bit hectic there. It gives you a time to think and control the aircraft, or whatever it might be. So a few useful numbers there are useful. Go in with those, and then you've got something to fall back on.
Yeah, exactly. With that in mind, it just frees up a bit of RAM in your brain, to slow things down and take it in a certain cadence. Again, that assists in calming you down, which obviously, improves your overall demeanor and hopefully the appearance to whoever's assessing you.
Exactly. So wishing everyone the best of luck that is going off for their sim check rides in the near future. And I know there's a lot of them going on, both here internally, South Africa, and around the world. It's a big time for a lot of pilots. It's a stressful time, and for the families and that of the pilots that are going for the job watching, it is a very stressful time.
Yeah, so it's not easy for the families. You see this individual like stressing their balls off every time there's an interview or some check ride, and they got to put up with that at home. So you can't discount the support structure that one needs. Like you say, it is exciting. It is a great time, and I'm really happy to see that these opportunities are just opening up everywhere for so many guys and girls out there. It's great to see.
Would you go so far as to say that a pilot's interview is one of the more difficult things you can do interview-wise? If you think of other professions, and I suppose a bit different on the medical side and that, but other professions where how much of it is, if you go for a pilot interview, you can get drilled with technical questions on the aircraft that you're going to go fly. You can get drilled with technical questions on the aircraft you used to fly. You can get asked all sorts of things about the law in your existing country, where you're going. There's a range, and you can't physically, or most guys can't just go prepare for all of that stuff for this interview. You have to kind of pick and choose, get a bit of inside gen, right? This is what they're asking, this is what they're looking for. But very difficult. They're huge. I mean, aviation's just massive,
It's insane. I mean, to expand on that list you're talking about, you're talking about technical. What about the airline wants to know that you know about the airline. You know, you got to go and study up on like how many airplanes they have, who's management, all that kind of stuff. Remember those kind of questions we used to get asked. And not to discount the personal questions. You know, the human element. You know, where do you see yourself? Tell us about yourself. Questions. Those I think are even harder to answer. You know, a lot of times, as opposed to you sort of just the aviation questions. So
and if you're not aware of it, like you've made people aware of it now, that can catch you out. You prepare so much for the aviation-based questions. What happens if someone now says to you, Ryan, where do you see yourself in the next 10 years? And you haven't thought about that question before because you just want this job and you're going to see where it's going to take you. And then you start trying to think, what do they want me to answer?
And they can see right through
and they're
that.
going to see right through that, Or a favorite there, name a time in your aviation career where you actually had to go against the rules of the company or the rules of the state to get something done. Now you start thinking, shit, is this something that they're trying to catch me out on, or is it a genuine question where they want to see how you're willing to bend the rules if and when required?
Yeah. So no, it's it's quite a thing. And to answer your original question, yes, I agree. It is one of the most stressful interviews that one can go through. The info and the knowledge that's expected of you is just vast, man.
So just for the non-aviators out there, normally be a bit of an online exam first to get the interview. Then the interview, sometimes, with a technical pilot or something, then with HR as possible. Then you've got probably another law written exam. Pass that exam, you get offered an opportunity to go to the simulator.
Psychometrics.
Psychometrics. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, psychometrics is a big one.
Particularly these days.
Yeah.
And those psychometric exams are not easy. But now you've got a situation where you actually have to study for those psychometric exams, which to me is a, object defeating thing. But there's plenty of online courses about how to pass your Emirates, what do they call it? That compass exam?
Compass test, yeah.
Compass test or something.
No, it's those things are probably the most stressful as well.
Pretty wild in itself,
Yeah. It's quite a few guys out. And I don't know.
Unfairly sometimes.
I think so. Yeah, it's well, I suppose the people that develop them know what they're doing. It comes from years and years of science, but I personally don't think they're always that accurate.
So did the lockdowns.
And the vaccines and all that bullshit. So, I don't know if I totally agree with them, and I don't think they should be, the most punitive part of the interview process. Like, if you don't pass the psychos, that's it. Boom, sorry for you out, There should be a bit of leeway there, but hey, well.
Yeah.
We're just pilots, man.
Yep, that's it. You're just pilots and you're just there to do your job and show off your skills. So, yeah, that's it. But I thought a nice little subject to talk about, particularly because so many of these guys that are getting the opportunity now are young, haven't been through this process before. So hopefully that opens up a bit of insight as to what you can expect. But let's get into a bit of news, Ryan. Cool one that I saw. We'll start with some international news here. London Airport has now scrapped that stupid 100 ml liquid rule that you have to have in a clear container inside a clear plastic bag. Fluids, gels, and paste and all that other stuff over 100 mils. It's caught a lot of people out.
Yeah.
You rock up there with your expensive aftershave and you can't take it on. So that's the first thing.
Yeah.
Second one, you don't have to remove your iPad and your laptop from your backpack, which is packed full of your KWA jacket and all sorts of other stuff that you now have to pull out and put in that bloody container and send it through the X-ray machine.
I was so excited when I saw that. I mean, it's like about time, and I hope the rest of the world follows suit, because what a time waster. The queues that's created through those bloody stupid security things, and then people don't know what they have to pull out and what they don't, and then they half undress you. And you mentioned the liquids. How many times have you seen someone, they're trying to down a liter bottle of Aviation water? I couldn't take this through.
Not going to waste it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Come on.
one of those rules that got put in place. It got put in place because I think it started in the UK actually. The UK stopped a plot by a terrorist group to use liquid explosives on aircraft, and obviously then this rule's been in place. But now we got high-tech scanners that can detect this stuff without having to pull it out your bag, or at least place it in those stupid containers. And you always feel like a criminal no matter what. You know, you're pulling out your toiletry bag there.
Yeah.
And it's like,
you're like, is this going to get me arrested?
Yeah.
I hate that feeling.
Particularly when you're in like Germany or something like that. You really get grilled there.
They're intimidating, eh?
They do.
Jeez.
Yeah. So, that's done.
Awesome.
Good news. Next bit. Branson's satellite launching company, Virgin Orbit, unfortunately has gone into bankruptcy or filed for bankruptcy.
Do you think that was such a good business plan of his from the get-go? I mean, with so much competition, SpaceX, I mean,
I don't know.
Probably
but Grant,
was...
You need Bransons in the world.
No, of course.
You need these people that do I mean, it's not a good business thing. I mean, if you're sitting around a table and you're trying to plan your next business move, and you come to me and say, you want to start a satellite launching company, you know, you're going to get shot down by 99,000 potential investors. But here is a guy that's obviously, it's pretty wild, and you need people like that in the world. He's been huge for aviation, but obviously, but you wonder now, is Elon not just going to come up and just come and buy this?
Maybe.
I mean, would it be too difficult for him to just come and buy the company? And I suppose only if there's a technology there that he doesn't have already, which is probably
pretty
not.
Slim.
Yeah,
I mean,
slim.
The way they launching Starlink and all that, it probably doesn't. No. But anyway.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's not hurting Richard Branson too much.
Yeah, I think he owns 75% of that company. So I suppose it still hurts. It's always a little bit of a knockdown to the old ego when a company that you build files for bankruptcy. But at the end of the day...
he'll just start something else up tomorrow.
Probably, yeah. This story drove me absolutely nuts. Schipol Airport in Amsterdam is going to propose to ban takeoffs and landings at night and all private jet operations as part of measures to reduce noise pollution at the Dutch hub. So no night takeoff and landings and no private operator aircraft allowed in Amsterdam's main airport hub.
Yeah, I read that also, and I just shook my head because in the article, I think the figure's something around, they did a survey, around 54% of residents are having their sleep disturbed by jets. Well, I got a solution. Move to another fucking area.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Don't live near an airport, for Pete's sake.
What? Yeah. I don't know enough about the politics involved in this, but is it political? It seems like a very sort of woke answer to
Isn't that where Greta Thunberg comes from?
No, she's Scanda hooligan, isn't she?
I don't know. It's all part of the same hood, bro. But it might be part of one of those little agendas.
I don't know. It just seems mad, with this aviation recovery, travel recovery, and obviously Amsterdam relies heavily on tourism. It's a major European hub. I mean, KLM are up in arms about it. They apparently weren't consulted. KLM, the airport's biggest operator, says it's surprised that Schipol has independently come up with suggestions that have far-reaching consequences for airlines without involving other relevant parties.
I think it's a lot of crap.
Only a joint sectoral approach will lead to aviation that is in balance with the environment and the climate. My word.
If they've got people that are having issues sleeping, I mean, why not just go down to your local coffee shop and buy something that would assist with you sleeping better?
No, but that's all bullshit. I mean, if you live around the airport, you stayed close to Heathrow for nearly a year and a half, and I tell you what, The noise is
Par for the course.
no, it's not an event, man.
Yeah.
It just gets drummed out. Well, come to Joburg, you gunshots.
Yeah, and sirens and everything.
No gunshots at night. It ruins people's sleep.
Yeah, and the cops and the ambulances must switch their sirens off between 12 and 5 in the morning.
Yeah. That's a real first world problem, that one. But yeah, anyway, that's not the best. I hope that gets sorted out.
Yeah.
And another one, Ryan, we obviously had all these, not closures of our airspace, but NOTAM restrictions into flying into certain airports, still on the go at the moment in South Africa. But we're not the only ones. So Dublin, they had some airport closures the other day.
Yeah, and the reasons why are actually quite funny. I thought, just why would an airport like Dublin have airspace closures? But it's sort of indicating a tendency to another big problem aviation's facing is a shortage of air traffic controllers.
Yeah.
And they had to close the airspace because the guys that were available needed to have proper rest periods and catch up on some sleep. And so when I read that, it reminded me of another article that I saw earlier in the week talking about India and the need to hire more ATCs there. It's becoming a worldwide problem. Not only pilot shortages are an issue, cabin crew, etc., but ATCs.
ATCs is, watch that space, actually. Is this not the first little glimmer of a major issue worldwide? Look, this one, you have to laugh because we've obviously got this situation in South Africa that's been going on now well over a week already.
Yeah.
There's hardly any news about it other than on like the Fly Africas and things like that. We've spoken about it, but no real major news. This is like a major news article, and it was only shut down there for 30 minutes.
Yeah, no, it's made news. But I mean, the rest of the world isn't as hardened up as we are. I mean, we deal with load shedding, so like this has just become like load shedding to us.
Yeah, I suppose. I suppose.
But quite funny. But there definitely is going to be there really is a global shortage of ATCs, and you're going to have to fix that.
Have to watch that one, yeah. It was obviously April Fool's Day the other day.
Over the weekend, what a guess.
Airlines made the most of it, eh?
I couldn't believe how, particularly the airlines climbed on board with the jokes. I mean,
our local airlines too. I mean, Lyft flying to New York.
Elevator Airlines and even Emirates climbed on the bandwagon there, or someone did. I mean, introducing an A380 with a fifth engine.
Yeah.
And, at face value, when you still look at it, it almost looks plausible. And you're like, you had to remind yourself, hang on, but don't get suckered into this.
Yeah. It was quite cool. I actually got caught out by one because I thought, this is something we can talk about. We had obviously spoken last week. Can you land an airliner as a non-flying pilot in an emergency? So first of all, there's a movie coming out about that. Did you see?
No way.
Yeah, it's I forget the actor's name. Well-known guy, King Air 200. It looks like, or 90. I just caught the beginning of it. But pilot basically passes out. He's got his family in the back, this guy, and he takes over and flies the aircraft, apparently based on a true story.
Sounds plausible. I seem to remember something like it happening on a caravan somewhere.
It could, we'll dig up the story. I just picked. I wanted to actually show it on you, but I couldn't find the trailer again. That was there. Then there was an article about a guy on a light aircraft. The pilot passed away, and again, April Fools. But the guy landed the aircraft perfectly using ChatGPT.
No way.
Yeah. It was quite cool because obviously so much going on with ChatGPT at the moment, and a well-written article, pilot used ChatGPT to land.
Yeah, I can see how one would fall for that.
So I was highly the murrin when I realized, no, this is a load of bullshit.
But that was a good topic we spoke about last week, and in fact, we had quite a lot of
I've had a lot of responses, yeah.
Oki Stain, one of our other very good supporters, sent us a very nice voice note the other day. He used to be a sim technician for SAA back in the day, and he detailed a story about how they would have people come through and, they would offer them rides and whatever. And he had quite a few points to list as to why he think it would not be possible.
Yeah,
very, very plausible, things like crosswind limits. If it was IMC, there's no ways, and the people's ability to use the radios and talk on the radio and that kind of stuff. So, yeah, having listened to that and you kind of seen it almost in first person, I still don't think it would work.
You would need everything lined up very nicely to actually make the success of that. Like you say, IMC and a few other things going wrong ain't going to happen. But on a clear day with an ILS that you can couple to the autopilot, maybe, someone can talk you through that process. But
I suppose if you're in one of those areas with Wi-Fi that can chat GPT, or you can get chat GPT connectivity, maybe.
Geez, I was bummed when that wasn't legit. But staying with a bit of tech, this is a story I like. We spoke about you and I went off and bought NFTs.
Yeah.
All right. So how's that going for you? I don't actually know. I must look. Maybe we've got offers on our NFTs.
Yeah.
I haven't looked for ages. But anyway,
haven't checked, but
they're there. Very difficult to explain what the hell an NFT is. But an Argentinian carrier, Flybondi, becomes the first airline to offer NFT tickets. Now, why would an airline offer tickets as an NFT? What would be the benefit of that at all? Any ideas off the top of your head?
I suppose. No, I'm gonna bounce on this one.
Okay, so basically, the rigmarole when you buy a ticket. Some of these airlines, you got to buy it with a credit card. You must actually show that credit card when you check in. It must have your name, your ID. Everything must be spot on. If they're missing the E in my surname, no, sorry, you're not going on the aircraft. Big rigmarole when you buy a ticket. So NFT tickets are basically interchangeable. You buy a ticket as an NFT, a non-fungible token, using blockchain technology. How crazy is it? Blockchain technology is like so 221.
Yeah.
It's like, it's so old-fashioned. But so you basically eliminate the usual restrictions when buying a ticket. So it's interchangeable. You can sell it to someone else. You can it basically be used. You can hold on to it and use it, change the particular flight easily. So a whole range of different options by using this non-fungible token ticket. So it's not tied to a person, it's tied to a link in the blockchain. So when you go and use it one day, it's not picking up that Ryan Parrock is boarding the flights. It's just NFT, which has its own identity, is basically...
you said this was an Argentinian airline.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite funny how most South American countries seem to be almost the first to adopt these sort of technologies. I remember it was Venezuela back in 2021. They were like one of the first countries to actually go and sort of almost adopt Bitcoin as a currency.
Yeah, as their currency. Yeah.
And you see this now with a South American airline going with NFT tickets.
Yeah.
It's almost like, it makes you think. You don't often hear much about the South American countries, particularly when it comes to aviation, but they're sort of almost ahead of the game in a few aspects like this.
Yeah. The leaders at Embraer won't be very happy with what you just said there.
Oh, yeah. Forgot about.
And we must admit, a lot of the very, very clever technicians that we know on the computers and this type of stuff, they're all from South America. So it is a valid point that you say.
Yeah. Okay. But this is me then that doesn't pay much attention to South America.
Ticket 3.0, it's called. So if that comes into effect, I think it's a positive thing.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, very cool. Something to look out for. Strike news, Westjet. Do you hear what happened with that Westjet strike that was last week or so? So the reason I'm bringing it up now, stand by for a lot of strikes, particularly in the States. Why? Because they want, the airlines, doesn't matter how big they are, want a global standard in terms of remuneration.
Yeah.
Of course, if their friends next door at United and Delta are getting paid X, they want the same. So this is basically that. They're looking for improved lifestyle and improved money in line with what people of the same qualifications are earning at airlines just down the road.
We've been saying this for months.
Yeah.
For months. The minute the recovery started taking effect, and guys, airlines were employing pilots again.
Yep.
We've called it how many times? Money, lifestyle, all of that. It's going to have to get matched. And I'm actually not surprised to see this kind of thing happening now.
Well, a quote here from the Westjet's Alpa Group chairman. Without an industry standard contract, many Westjet pilots are choosing to leave for better opportunities, leaving a dwindling number of pilots choosing to work here. Yep. Well, that's what it is. Across the airline industry, pilots have been winning significant pay rises amid the pilot shortage and general wage inflation. U.S. carriers such as Hawaiian, JetBlue, Spirit, they've also recently negotiated new deals with their pilot groups. And then, of course, Delta winning a $7 billion in cumulative pay increases over the next 4 years, which is massive. So it is going to change anything. We've been saying it. Stand by for more. It's just inevitable. If you flying similar aircraft at the same part of the world, you want to get a similar package. And the difference in those packages are just too much at the moment for them to be happy about it. So, of course, either you strike and get those new packages, or you simply leave and go to those airlines that are desperate for pilots.
Exactly. And then airlines can't really afford to lose pilots at the moment.
No, that's for sure.
So, yeah.
See
where that goes.
Just staying as well in the States. So, Ryan, the the Spirit JetBlue deal. I don't know if you've followed this at all.
I haven't followed it closely, no. But I believe there's a lawsuit about it.
Yeah, there's a lawsuit going on. So 4 more US states have joined this federal antitrust lawsuit against JetBlue with their proposed acquisition of Spirit Airlines. So I thought, how can you stop this? I mean, it's a business decision. They're buying Spirit, and what's the issue?
Yeah.
The issue basically is that you are taking away a major low-cost carrier, and therefore what's going to happen to the prices? They're going to go up. So the states have basically are acting on behalf of the consumers and saying, no, this deal in itself shouldn't be allowed to happen because of the end consumer that is going to be affected now with these higher prices. And obviously it's going to boil down to, can JetBlue prove that the prices aren't going to go up? You're taking away a big competitor, you're taking away a huge chunk of that low-cost market.
Yeah.
And the worry is, of course, that the prices get pumped up. And that's basically what the lawsuit's about.
I suppose it's a fair fight, eh?
I think it's a fair fight. Very much a fair fight. Can we go to some recruitment news, Ryan?
I think if we don't mention that, we'd be silly because there's so much of that happening right now.
Yeah, so the major one. Spoke about it last week. Got a bit of traction. A lot of people asking about it. But there is a Ryanair interview in Johannesburg. And that'll be on the 19th of April to discuss pilot opportunities available in Europe. So they looking to build on another record year where they carried over 168 million guests across 3,000 daily flights on a fleet of over 520 Ryanair aircraft. So 19th of April, if you want to go find out what it's all about, don't ask us. I don't know. You got to go to that. You got to go to that roadshow. So roadshow is taking place at Radisson Blue Hotel on Rivonia Road, and 2 sessions on the day. One at 9:30 in the morning, and the other one at 1 o'clock. Please only attend one session.
Yeah, go find out what it's all about, and it'll be interesting to see what they're offering and what the working conditions are, and what the process is all about. I'd actually like to, just for interest's sake, like to know.
There are going to be a lot of people at that. There's going to be a lot of people. I'm not so sure the Radisson Blue
will be able to
accommodate.
Because look, if you're looking for 737 drivers, you come into the right country.
Yeah.
There's a lot of 737 pilots here. And, I'm pretty sure our local airlines must be nipping at the bud when they see this kind of thing happening, thinking, oh, shit, here we go again. Stand by for
another bit of
influx of resignations and stuff. So,
okay, well, let's counter this a little bit. So thanks to our government, and their continued poor work that they do in a very ominous sign. So Flair Airlines in Canada, which was opportunity airline for South Africans,
Yeah.
is basically no longer. They've slammed the door on South African passport holders, as our passports are considered grey.
What the hell does that even mean?
I don't know.
A
But
grey
grey,
passport.
it's like it doesn't sound good, does it?
No, it doesn't.
It's like a grey import Yamaha motorbike. It's never going to be as good as the
as the original.
as the original.
Well, my passport is physically still green, so you know they can take that and stick it.
Yeah, they can, but you know, do you blame? I don't blame Flair for this. They're just saying, look, the rigmarole of dealing with guys with these passports is just not worth it. Therefore, sorry, South Africans not taking your passport. Let's rather take guys from Australia, New Zealand, or whatever.
Yeah.
So they've basically ditched us, but that's just because of our poor performance. You know what it's like dealing with
Home affairs.
and things like that. So why must they go through the rigmarole? You know, they ultimately have to work. You know, so
It's very unfair.
it is. It's very unfair on us.
If we get sort of penalised because of that, it's going to piss a lot of guys off.
It is.
But how do you change that right now? You can't really.
You can't, but I just hope that that is not a sign of things to come, because that would put a huge dampener on all these things we're talking about with opportunities worldwide. So let's hope it doesn't.
Yeah.
One place that is certainly still looking for pilots, FlyDubai, looking for 737 first officers based in Dubai, of course. Let's see if you make the cut here, Ryan. ICAO ATPL. Have you got one?
Check.
A firm. ICAO Class 1 crew medical certificate.
Check.
Got one. Oh, no, you fucked, yeah. High school certificate.
Hey.
Maybe.
Yeah.
You can get one made there in Norwood.
Go check. Local Postnet must have a few templates available.
Yeah. Canva. ICAO level 4 proficiency. Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
737, 300 to 900. NG endorsed within the last 24 months. Okay, we don't make that cut. Like you say, a lot of them do. A lot of guys here do 1,500 hours flying experience on multi-crew aircraft and 500 hours of total flying experience on type. All the usual things: customer focus, teamwork, effective communication, resilience and flexibility, can-do attitude, strategic thinking, business acumen, inspiring and developing others, decision making. So all the usual things. FlyDubai, very, very much a good option. And
yeah, they almost seem to be the main go-to at the moment for the UAE versus Emirates.
they do, hey?
More guys going to FlyDubai than Emirates. I'm not sure why. Is it because Emirates aren't taking that many guys, or is
I don't
FlyDubai offering a better package? Not sure about that. But Cathay are also hosting a virtual roadshow on the 27th of April. I saw the ad doing the rounds on the internet last night.
A virtual roadshow.
A virtual roadshow, yeah. Obviously, don't know how that all works. Probably some sort of a webinar type event, I guess. But yeah, Cathay are in dire need recruiting. So
Another option.
yeah, all over the place.
All over the place. You just go and look. Any sort of pilot recruitment site will have the details there.
Yep.
Apply, go see. But take part in the roadshows. The only way to find out what the gig is actually all about.
Yeah, and again, you're going to get the first-hand info that you need, rather than relying on your mate who went to this one yesterday. And then you get like, oh, what are they looking for? And then the story sort of gets a bit diluted.
Yeah.
And that can either, deter you or give you false expectations. Go get the information yourself.
Yeah. I'm going to shoot forward now to African aviation, Ryan, because we've got a few other stories here. But, how cool is it to have this sort of excess of content to actually speak about, where you actually have to pick and choose stories to fit inside a certain sort of time limit? Not that we are sort of overly limited by time, but we don't expect people to tune in for 2 hours listening to aviation news. But basically, that's what's there these days. It's just so much news. Got some stuff from the Indian aviation side, but we'll chat about that next week for sure. African aviation, there was that IATA. They've launched the Focus Africa to strengthen its contribution to African development. When you read that sort of stuff, are you a little bit like me and go,
Yeah.
what does that mean? Yeah, there's always these wonderful sounding things, and no doubt they are born out of something that is, a real genuine attempt to try and grow aviation. But just more often than not, with these things that happen, they just dwindle out, and they tend to make a very, very minute fraction of the population very rich, and the rest all suffer. So I'm always a little bit negative when I read things like that. But let's give IATA the benefit of the doubt on this one.
Yeah, I suppose, let them have a crack at it. But, again, it's, I don't know, I can't help but think maybe it's more a crowd of guys that are trying to emulate like what John Howell and them are doing. You can't beat the AviaDev Africa sort of conferences and that sort of thing.
Well, they're actually doing something, I suppose.
And those are way more empowering than, aren't IATA just there really to go and sort of stipulate a few regulations? What are they going to climb on this focus group bandwagon?
Well, I'll tell you what, let's so they've launched this thing. Let's not comment on it too much. Let's watch what they actually do and see. Maybe there's a few things that come out of it. Maybe there's a few other options of education that come out of it, whatever it might be. So let's have a look. Keep an open mind on it. But yeah, we're always skeptical of these things. On a real positive note, Africa aviation has now recovered to 93% of pre-COVID levels, which is pretty good.
Massive.
Hey?
It's massive.
Yeah.
In terms of comparing the numbers to what's happening around the rest of the world, we've done pretty well.
Yeah.
This continent's really showed the rest of the world that, we might be the third grade continent, but travel by air ain't slowing down. Yeah.
The pandemic had a positive effect, certainly with new airlines popping up and people realizing the need for connectivity in Africa is so important. Of course, you can't just drive to some of these places, so it's inevitable you need airlines, and the countries in Africa need airlines. And fortunately, these airlines are doing really well at the moment. A lot of them have chosen the right aircraft. They seem to be relatively well run, and they're doing really well, and they are growing. African aviation is growing. It's expanding. You look at 93% of pre-COVID levels. You take just South African Airways and Kenya Airways that have shrunk.
Yeah.
That has a big effect of, you add that back and you're back at, well over 100%. But I would say now, although it's 93%, we're much stronger in aviation today than we were pre-COVID. We've got rid of all the riffraff,
without a doubt,
and you had a very strong case for African aviation. So very, very nice to see. But of course, on the negative side, touched on it earlier. What the hell is going on with these no-tammed approaches and all sorts of things? The latest one I saw now in Johannesburg. Taxiways are not all low visibility compliant. And
if required, they're going to have a follow me car come and escort you.
So what does that mean, Ryan, for the non-aviators there?
Well, basically in low visibility conditions, an airplane can't always see where it's taxiing.
Yeah.
And if the taxiways aren't equipped with the proper lighting, they're a bit buggered. The pilots can't navigate on the ground. So they're going to have a little follow me car that comes and guides you to your parking bay. But I've never seen a follow me car at Joburg.
No.
So
but can you imagine? Can you imagine it gets opened up to a tender? and suddenly there's a whole whack of we'll be the only country in the world that's got GLE AMG follow me cars driving around there.
Either that, or it's going to be like 100,000 high ace taxis.
Well, but and you can laugh and joke about it, but what does it do from the safety side of things? you know, as far as I know, around the world, a lot of these vehicles, they got TCAS. The people that are driving them are obviously trained. There's a huge. It's not just a case of right, you go drive the follow me car.
Yeah.
You've got a major machine behind you that you are actually directing. So you make a mistake, it can lead to all sorts of chaos. So let's just hope that these holes in the cheese don't line up fully on this one. And there's some people sort of do come to their senses, one hopes. But yeah, I don't like this whole thing with the non-transparency of actually what's going on. Why have all these airports had their approaches taken away? Why do we have this chaos? And are we going to fix it? You know, for sure, any airline, any operator can have findings. You know, it's the same. Any authority can have findings, but you're normally given a bit of time to fix it. And one just hopes that we are going to fix this, because you can't just...
Well, that's the thing, because it points towards who's in charge of actually fixing this.
I don't know, right?
And it kind of like steers towards something that we're going to talk about now anyway, is there's a lot of experts that get approached, as we saw with ENCA last week, to comment on this kind of thing. And I mean, the individual that spoke about all of this going on was by no means an aviation expert,
was not
any stretch of the imagination.
It was a shocking interview. It was absolutely shocking. It was an embarrassment, and you watch it and you just think, I hope, you know, people around the world are not watching this, because it didn't make sense. I mean, I wanted to go through that video again and actually write things down to comment on it now, but I mean... It's so
poor. You actually can't watch more than 3 or 4 minutes of it.
No, it was shocking.
Because it just gives you a headache thinking, I can't believe the stupidity I'm listening to here. And, you know, again, if that's what's being put in charge of making these decisions and fixing these problems, then we've got some serious shit.
But like you said before the show started, aviation expert, self-proclaimed aviation expert.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you and me, we don't even regard ourselves as aviation experts.
No way.
I mean,
no way.
We want to know someone. We ask, you know, what's the story here? We, you know, and I'm happy with that. I mean,
of course,
you know, that's how it is. But here you got this guy. Clearly, he's never flown a bloody
I
drone
don't think you would know what an airplane
paper.
is if one landed on top of it.
No. I mean, what were some of the things he said? What did he say about VNav, visual navigation, and...
Yeah, so he talks about... This is how he contradicts himself as well. He says, well, yeah, the reason for these approaches being withdrawn is because now there's no guidance for the airplanes that need transponders and radars to be able to land. You know, so now there's none of this available, so they can't use it. However, the pilots are trained and equipped to be able to do this safely, so there actually will be no problem.
Yeah, that was a shocker.
That's when I stopped listening after, because I was just, I can't believe it.
The blood just boils there a bit, and it drives you a bit mad. Yeah. So check out, mate. Yeah, actually, I was going to put that link in the show notes to. I think Andrew Evans posted it on Facebook, so go check Andrew's Facebook page if you want to check it.
I had so many people send me that link saying, you know, can you believe this?
Yeah.
It just it just actually leaves you with a loss for words.
No, it does. It was a shocker. Wasn't good. But Ryan, all in all, one last little South African story that our overseas viewers seem to like, because I got lots of messages about this one. That Cape Cobra sneaking into the flight deck
of a Baron.
Yes. Can you imagine?
I love it. The story is pilot makes emergency landing after snake found on airplane or what? Something that he felt tick on the back of his neck.
He felt something cold on the back of his neck.
Yeah, flying a Baron from Nelspruit all the way to Cape Town. And my man, if I had to see that in an airplane, I don't know if I'd be able to pull off an emergency landing.
Yes.
Because
he did well. I mean,
to stay calm
enough to get that. Imagine feeling something cold on the back of your neck and looking around. There's one of the Cape Cobras are like yellow, man. They've got this like
it's a scary
bright yellow bloody and that neck all puffed up there,
checking you out.
Yes. So now I've got a plan. Obviously, you know, if you're going to look at evidence-based training,
deal with that kind of pressure.
Yeah, or are we close to now putting rubber snakes in the cockpits to see if the guys can?
Don't do that to me.
Hey?
Please don't do that to me, because I guarantee you,
Yeah.
I have to change my underpants right there.
Yeah. Yeah. But well done for handling that. I mean, this was on all the news outlets around the world. Eh?
Yeah, because it's
just so unheard of. But they couldn't find the snake.
yeah. There was a picture of this thing after they pulled it out of the airplane.
Was there?
Yeah, so I
Okay.
don't know if it was a fake thing.
Or was that not just showing people what
the snake was?
a
Yeah.
Cape Cobra looks like?
I don't know. But it was that. I mean, I wouldn't fly that airplane again until
No
I did find the
ways.
snake. I mean, no chance.
I heard, so they left it overnight, apparently. They put sort of flour all over the place to see if there'd be any marks of the snake going through the flour, slithering away. Because, I mean, those things can hide anywhere, man.
Yeah.
But man, no, I wouldn't be going back in that aircraft. No ways.
Remember that Samuel L. Jackson movie?
Yeah.
I'm like so tempted to quote it, but
Snakes on a plane.
I shouldn't for podcast purposes.
Yeah. We actually had an episode, Snakes on a Plane, at one point.
We did, eh?
Mm.
Ages ago.
I think the ANC members were flying an aircraft. So. Yeah. Time for an advisory.
Ready.
All right. So I was going to give one on a calendar. You big into your calendars.
Yeah. I need that.
I've found a new one.
Serious?
Yeah, it's better.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Which
I'm
one?
not going to talk about it now.
What?
Because you'll talk about it next week.
That's a knob move, man.
I'll
100%.
introduce it to you now. It's called Fantastical.
Fantastical.
Yeah, Fantastical.
Okay.
You
Bit of
know,
a weird name. It sounds like something that...
Fantastic Calendar is obviously
Okay.
short for. You know Ali Abdaal,
Yes.
the productivity guy. So he put out a video the other day on YouTube about all the productivity things he uses, and this was one of the suggestions. So I'm going to keep it short because there's another one I want to give you. But basically this one, Ryan, it's similar to the one you're using at the moment. And a calendar, why do you need a calendar? Quite nice to, see what the hell you're doing. But if you're at a company that uses, say, Microsoft 365, and your personal computer, Ryan, is an Apple, you can run into little issues along the way.
Syncing issues and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Because I'm running a Intel-based Mac at work. I've got a silicon chip-based Mac at home. And then I got my iPad, which is iOS, and the phone is iOS. So to find a calendar that synced all my accounts nicely, it was very difficult. I was finding it was working on my iOS device, but not on my Intel Mac, and it's just a freaking nightmare. Long story short, this one works.
Okay.
So I'll leave the link in the show notes. You get 2 weeks free. Check it out. And also, you don't need the paid version. The paid version's got one or two other little things that is not probably not, you don't need it. So there's a free version there. Check it out. It's actually bloody nice. The best part about it, Ron, is when you want to make a input to your calendar.
Yeah.
You normally go and you name what the input is. So lunch with Ryan at Hangar G5. And then you go what time, 1400 to 1600.
Hang on, is that today? I just want to put it in.
Yeah. And you can put the place in there and all the rest. And it's like a bit of a process because you clicking along the way to, the various things. With this one, you basically just write it in. Lunch with Ryan at 2 o'clock at Hangar G5 on, let's say, on Wednesday next week. Enter. And then it takes all that information and then it inputs it, the time, the place, everything into a nice looking little template there for you.
Okay.
So you basically just write in what you're doing.
What a pleasure.
Yeah. Double Bloemfontein, 6 o'clock sign on Wednesday with so-and-so, so-and-so.
Yeah.
All the information's there.
Okay.
Yeah. Very nice.
Cool, man. I'll
very,
check it
very
out.
nice.
Comment on it again next week.
The other one, the main one. So it's a bit geeky this week. This pen.
You and that pen.
This pen.
But that's...
is a Olight pen. You can buy it off Take-A-Lot. But if you're an aviator and you don't have one of these pens, then you're not a real aviator. First of all, it's got a cool can't see it on the camera now, but it's got a cool little laser tracker green light, which works on an EFA screen. So if you're doing a bit of instruction or whatever, and you can point the green lights, it picks it up. But more importantly, it's got one hell of a bright LED torch that's got, a few levels of brightness, and it lights up the whole flight deck. It is such a pain. You got your, mag light from 1989 in the bottom of your flight bag there, which is always in need of a battery. Yeah. This obviously, as a pen, it's got the lights on. It's very, very bright. They're about $1,700 off Take a Lot, but they have specials all the time. So check out for the specials. It's an Olight Pro. This pen is legit.
Yeah, no, you've been raving about that pen for weeks now, and
and if you're going to go down the pilot tech side of things you need, other than a Bose A30, then
if you can afford it,
then this is the next best thing. Yeah. But it's got a cool sort of, so Olight guys, they make laser lights for your handgun and things like that. One of the best in the world, and now they've obviously put it together in a pen. But that torch on it is just brilliant. And then obviously in South Africa, even more beneficial, because when you're coming home at night, you've got your pen in your pocket over here. You can simply just turn that torch on to get inside your house. Obviously, there's going to be load shedding going on, so it's going to be pitch black. And you got this nice bright torch that lights everything up. A very wide sort of field of view. So yeah, that's my...
It's an excellent advisory.
I think so.
Yeah.
Hey? You like that one?
I'm stoked at that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good one. Thanks again to Dale for the awesome shirts.
Yeah, Dale, thanks again. I really appreciate it. And as always, thanks again for your amazing support of the show and being a good friend.
Yeah, thanks, Dale. Last thing to end off with, anniversary of when our rights were taken away from us a few years ago with these lockdowns and science-based bullshit that you're talking about, Ryan. Don't forget what they did to you. Don't forget they took away your ability to earn, the ability to go see your friends and family, even if they were sick or not.
Yeah.
Never forget.
No.
They're not on your side. We'll be lucky if this one makes it through a YouTube one.
Demonetized.
Yeah, goodbye. Cheers, pal.
Take it easy, pal.
Bye.
Cheers, man.
Bye.